Hey there, this is Bill with smarttrades.com. It's January 31st, Sunday, about 3:45 p.m. Pacific time. And as always, if you'd like more frequent updates, please visit me at smarttrades.com. Indeed, if you'd like a free newsletter, just email me in the next week or so, bill at smarttrades.com. I'll send you out a free newsletter. Also, the recent or October 6th newsletter that I'm going to discuss today is on our site at smarttrades.com. Anyway, here's the count that we had been looking at for quite some time on the Dow. It's still a possibility. Ultimately, whether this count is correct or not, I think it will eventually go back down to about Dow 6,000 and test that 2009 low. However, there are some problems with this count in that it's extended farther than I think it should. The relationship of B in terms of price to A is just, it's a stretch. So we've been looking at an alternate here for some time, and the possibility that indeed the wave 4 ended in a C wave down back in 2009, and that we're in a fifth wave up now. Anyway, the bottom line is it should come all the way back, preferably to the bottom of that previous fourth wave, which would be around 64.70 on the Dow, but we shall see. Now here's a chart we posted on October 6, 2015. This gave us projections for on the upside for the Dow up to about 18,350, and then we are looking for a drop back to 15,340. Here's the current chart. We didn't quite get there on the upside, we didn't quite get there on the downside, but the basic projection has followed suit. And if we continue to hold this 15,340 and even a little lower, perhaps down to the 14,720 area, I think that new highs are still very much possible. Again, if we hold, we shall see. S&P 500. This again is the chart from October 6, 2015. There's the projections as we stated them at that time. And here's how it's played out so far. We didn't quite get to 2135. We fell, I think it was like 2116 was the peak, but don't quote me on that. And we got down to, I believe, 1812 on the downside, but we did wind up holding that 1820 area, basis the S&P cash. Here's our weekly projection back on October 6th, 2015. Had two scenarios we were looking at, and both of them we're looking for a rally and then a drop back to 1820, which obviously we've gotten, and so far we've held. Not sure if it's going to hold or not. It's possible we may yet go lower, and I'll get into that in a minute too. The other scenario is that at least for the Dow and the NASDAQ, they may be carving out contracting triangles, and in fact we've got a higher low so far in point C down, so you've got A down, B to a lower high, C to a higher low, and we're holding on a closing basis this weekly trend line. So still doesn't interfere with the big picture count of a possible fourth wave. Here's the monthly NASDAQ. Monthly NASDAQ still holding its long-term trend line, both on a closing basis and also on the lows, depending on how you want to draw that trend line. Here's the NASDAQ daily. One scenario to be aware of, it's possible that we completed a fifth wave up here and that we are already carving 5 waves down into a major decline. It's something to be aware of. However, the other scenario is that A, we've bottomed, or B, this is carving out 5 waves down in C. The area to watch is around 43.60, basis the NASDAQ cash. If we were to fail up there, you'd have basically an A equals C type rally, and then the area to watch on the downside for support is around 40.20, and also around 39.30. And also obviously the August low around 37.87 is a longer term support if we go down in a fifth wave of C, or a fifth wave of a developing impulse to the downside. We also do analysis on all the big stocks, Amazon, Apple. And here's Apple. We had looked for, we're looking for a fifth wave down on 2 or 3 degrees of scale. It looks like we may have gotten it. Dragonfly type doji holding support there, lower volume on that low, and what looks to be an impulse off the low. The reason we were looking for that is we had a corrective A, a corrective looking B down 1.62 times A, textbook Elliott wave, targeted that 101.20 area, which was exceeded just very slightly. There's also resistance around 102, and indeed Apple held right in that area. So we have an A, B, C rally of 4, if we're counting it correctly, 5 waves down to a possible low on 2 degrees of scale. Canadian dollar, interesting, along with crude. We think they may have bottomed. However, they need to rally some more here, and they need to hold recent support. Key support for the Canadian is around 69.80. If it drops below there, new lows become more likely. Right now we're just exceeding slightly 62% times point A, and A equals C on the short-term count comes in around 72.60. Also there's resistance up there around 72.40. So 2 key areas to watch right above where we are now with this little channel, and then again that 72.40, 72.60 area. Here's the longer term picture. Again, that 72.40 resistance, and we may be bottoming here on actually 3 degrees of scale if indeed this count is correct. So let's see if it holds, see if we get corrective pullbacks to higher lows, and longer term resistance comes in around 77.90 and also around 83.76. Crude oil, very similar pattern. Here's the daily chart. Right now it's stuck right at its downtrend channel. Resistance is at 36.20 or so, and then 39.36 basis March. Here's the weekly. Again, multiple degrees of scale possible, 5 waves down. Just certainly worth watching. Longer term resistance comes in around 54.72 and also 67.94. Okay, obviously I got a call there. Hopefully this video will keep going. Anyway, here's the short-term picture on crude. It's at A equals C, or point A equals point C resistance on the highs. Looks like it's going to go a little higher from here, but if it takes out 29.34, I'd look for a possible peak. But for now, let's see if support can hold around 32.74, and if we can keep carving out impulses to the upside and corrections to the downside, we may have a long-term bottom in crude. But it's time to watch carefully here. If we drop below that point B low, or if we have an impulse off the highs, chances are one more round of new lows is forthcoming. Natural gas, another one to watch. Possible 5 waves down in natural gas on multiple degrees of scale. Even if that's not the case, there's resistance all the way up at 263, and preferably if we're getting an intermediate term bounce, and even in a fourth wave, that would target the area around 349 or so, the apex of 4 or 0.4, depending on how this plays out. Anyway, as I said, free newsletter. If you just email bill@smarttrades.com or visit me at smarttrades.com and subscribe. We update about 3 times a week. Love to have you join us. Have a great week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.